Hello and welcome to Tabletop Odyssey. My name is Jay and today I want to talk about how important is the competitive side of things for wargaming, both currently, maybe a little bit in the past and potentially in the future. So if you, at the end of the video, if you do like this video, do consider hitting the like button, that really does help. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, then please do that as well. Thank you very much indeed. So let's talk about competitiveness and what I mean as a whole. So I believe Games Workshop, the profits are growing. Wargaming as a whole is potentially on the increase, the up and up. YouTube sort of demonstrates that. I think that is essentially because the rise of stuff like geek culture becoming a little bit less geeky. So we have board gaming on the rise, D&D on the rise, and such forth. Now, wargaming is, I think, the third of this trio, but I think it is potentially growing. Now, I believe that it is growing partly because of the competitive side of things. Now, 8 years ago, whatever it was, we had the release of X-Wing, we've had Steamforge release Guild Ball, we had War Machine. These have all been competitors to Games Workshop, who have predominantly been seen in the industry as sort of like, we are going to cater to the hobby side of things, we are the masters of that, and the game is secondary perhaps. Now, as far as that is or it isn't, that is, I think, the way a lot of people have perceived it, at least. Now, I think we've had a recent trend of proper competitors to Games Workshop based on proper competitive games that are balanced, fun, easy to access, and that kind of thing. And I think that's simply a trend that will continue. And the reason is, Games Workshop are already dominating this market, like almost fully. They are now going to do like an animated series. They're going to have these audiobooks read by Billy Piper and David Tennant. They are the masters of the hobby side of things, and they're doing their little board game kind of games, all that kind of stuff to really embrace that community. And even they have made overtures to the competitive side of things, be it with Kill Team Arena, even though Kill Team, when it was first announced, was a competitive war game. Kill Team Arena is aimed specifically at competitive skirmish gaming. That is like them putting their flag in the ground, being like, this is ours, we also want a piece of this pie. And I think that's important for them, and because going forward, I think that's the way that most games are going to have to go. Now, I believe I may have made this stat up, but I think somebody said maybe like only 5% of Games Workshop customers are interested in the competitive side of things, which I could definitely understand. A lot of them are interested in the modelling hobby side of things. So 5%, you'd be like, well, that's a very small number. Why bother catering to them at all? And that is a fair question. But this rise of all of these other competitors that have been interested in competitive games, if that is the only way to challenge Games Workshop, then you're going to possibly see more of that. I haven't really seen any ones where it's like, our hobby is so good, we're going to compete with Games Workshop on our hobby front. Nobody has really tried that, and I think because they understand that Games Workshop's like dominance there is so impressive that it's not worth trying. Like Legion, yeah, the models are fine and stuff like that, but really it's like, well, we're going to be the good competitive war game. Now, I actually believe that this might mean that Games Workshop at some point go, instead of having the I do my full turn, you do your full turn, I think they might adopt, I should rather say, maybe in something like Age of Sigmar first, I think they might adopt a I do one unit, you do one unit kind of thing, and try and speed up the game like that and really alternate it, because I don't think that the I do everything, you do everything rule set is particularly good for a competitive game. But maybe that's just my opinion. I think we'll end up seeing that change. So yeah, I think wargaming in the last decade, certainly we've seen how important the competitiveness has been, just to get some like decent competition in. That has been the angle that a lot of companies have taken. Now, I just want to separate this from like people who do like ancient war games and historical battles and that kind of thing. I don't really know too much about those people. those people sounds weird, but I've never really met people who play like those historical games. I'm pretty sure that they aren't necessarily looking into full-on competitiveness. They just want like maybe like historical accuracy and a fun game. So I'm sort of ignoring that. We're looking more at the popularist side of wargaming. So my point is, to me, wargaming in the last decade is sort of the thing that has, like, the competitive side of things has sort of been the thing that's brought me back into wargaming. I think if it was just, I'm going to paint some models and put them on the table and roll some dice and have fun, I'd be like, yeah, that's okay for a little bit, but it'd be a bit too shallow for me to like really jump into. And I think wargaming is perhaps an antidote to the digital era. I may have said this before, but you know, people are always on computer screens, tablet screens, mobile phone screens. People have been playing video games, and I think some people, myself, I am one of these people who said, right, I'm on that a little bit too much. I'm going to try and find a hobby where I can get away from it, but it needs to be maybe not. I'm not interested in mountain climbing or anything like that. This was my hobby. I thought, right, it combines something I like because I've played it in the past with getting me away from my computer screen. And I think that kind of like antidote to this digital age is possibly one of the reasons that it's growing. And I think that also might be one of the reasons that ultimately the competitive side of things is important, because a lot of people who are growing up on gaming right now, yeah, you'll be growing up on Fortnite, League of Legends. These games are massive, aren't they? I think that's undisputable. And there's a very competitive element to these. You know, Zelda's popular, fair enough, but maybe the Zelda players are the Games Workshop fans, and the League of Legends Fortnite players, PUBG players, are the FFG X-Wing fans. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think once they get older, not that some people who are older will probably play it, but maybe if they eventually grow out of it and they get tired of it just because they've played that kind of stuff a lot, maybe they'll be like, all right, as an antidote, I'll go and play like a war game. And yeah, the percentage will be small, but if you're interested, if you're a competitive player like me, you're naturally going to want the competitive side of things. Like, I play League of Legends, and I used to really like FIFA, not because FIFA's a great game, just because I got to beat my friends. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was the most interesting part of it. I got to beat my friends and I got to beat my brother. So it makes sense now that I'm the kind of competitive player now who wants it. I want it to be a fair, balanced, easy to get into game. Like, I don't want it to be like pay to win. I want it all balanced, all fair, and I want the best player to win. That's essentially all that I want, and I'm getting that with X-Wing and FFG's games, that kind of thing. And I think the esports generation, if you will, not that I'm including myself in that, I'm far too old, but the esports generation might become the wargaming sport generation, which is sort of like the competitive side of wargaming. At least I've got fingers crossed, and I hope that's the case. And I think, as I said, we've seen Steamforge with Guild Ball, War Machine. We've seen all these games rise as like competitors to 40k. And that's been, say, like in the last decade, maybe a bit longer. I don't really know when War Machine came out, but let's just say the last decade for now. I think that's a trend that's going to continue. And I think competitive side of wargaming is going to be super important for the next 10 years. And I'm not sure what will happen beyond that. I'm not even sure that this will happen in the next 10 years. But just in my opinion, I think that wargaming will be very important. Competitiveness in wargaming will be very important going forward, because I think it's an easier sell to tell people that this is a fair, balanced, easy to get into game, rather than the models are great and the lore's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? I think for me, I would be easier sold on the one where it's like a good competitive side of things, but I think Games Workshop are going to have the hobby side of things pretty much dominated anyway. So it makes sense that this will be the growth area that has started in the last decade, and that pretty much continues. But let me know how you feel. Like, are you a competitive gamer, or are you just, for fun, I like to play the game and throw some dice with some friends? Or I think there'd be some people who are sort of like that, but would rather be like a casual gamer in a competitive game, because at least they know then that they win and lose based on them, rather than, oh, my army's crap, the one that I spent £350 on, it's not that good, so I'll just have to wait for so-and-so company to redo the rule book. So I think a lot of people are, even though they might not be full on competitiveness, you probably prefer a fair and balanced game anyway. Is that you? Are you that kind of player? Are you the hardcore competitive player, or are you the chillcore competitive player, or are you just a hobbyist and you just like painting and modeling and that kind of thing? If you are a hobbyist and you just like painting and modeling kind of thing, then do join me on Discord and Facebook. You can definitely post your stuff there, and I always comment on stuff. I've never said anything's bad, But like most of the people post is fantastic stuff on there, and I'd love to see it. If you did post something bad, I don't know what I would do. That would be a very difficult conundrum because I wouldn't want to offend you. I'd probably give you like actual constructive feedback, but nobody will treat you meanly. That is the thing. We will all be kind and constructive. So come and join us there. I made it sound like really daunting. Like, don't post anything terrible. But if you post something not that great, what I'll do is I'll show you mine, and you'll see how in comparison yours is so much better. Deal, right? Okay, come join us there. Have a most beautiful day. Do like and subscribe. Anybody who supports us on Patreon, really thank you for that, as it really does help. Have a most beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye, guys.